Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you've joined us again tonight. We're always happy to see people like you that are interested in what's happening in the cities in our area. Because it is important for good government that there be a good flow of information back and forth between mayors and city council people and the staff of your city, and most importantly with the residents. So we'll encourage you that if there's issues happening in your city that really resonate with you, that you are concerned about, be sure to keep in contact with your mayors, council people, and city staff and let them know what you think about those issues. If you haven't watched us before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area to update us on what's been happening in that city and what's kind of coming up for the future. And if it's your city, then we encourage you to get in touch with them if there's something that concerns you. Now, tonight we're very happy to be welcoming Duane Poppe.
Thank you.
Been on our show many different times over the years.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
So we're glad to have you back, and then I'll let you introduce yourself out to our wider audience, because people from Osseo, I'm sure, know you, but some of the others might not know, so you can give them a little intro.
All right, well, thank you. Duane Poppe, I'm the mayor of the city of Osseo. I'm currently serving my 3rd term as mayor. I was 3 years as council member before starting my tour of duty as the mayor. Lived in Osseo since 1999 with my wife and 3 children now, and they keep us active with all their various activities and sports and things. And then for my day job, I'm the managing principal of Lee & Associates, which is a commercial real estate firm. So I help owners and occupiers, if they're looking to buy, sell, or lease, they can give me a call and I can help them out with their commercial, industrial real estate.
Yeah, you have a unique base then to help out with the redevelopment in your city, right?
Yep.
So a good spot for you to be a mayor of your city.
Yeah, it's been a good match, and I was able to bring in a lot of different opportunities for people and expose the city in kind of new ways. So it's been helpful.
Plan. All of our cities are working on that. They're working on their 2040 comprehensive plan, and they're updated every 10 years. What's currently happening in regards, and this needs to be finished by the end of this year. Well, so what's currently happening in Osseo's comprehensive planning? Because that's a long process.
Oh yeah, the comprehensive plan is a very daunting task for a city of the size of Osseo. And I have to really hand it to our staff. I mean, they went above and beyond, putting this thing out. I mean, there's so much work to put together and so many facets, and we used our outside consultant quite a bit too. I mean, just because there's just for a staff our size, it's a lot of work. So I commend them for all the work they did and what it took. And also along with that, I mean, so they've had various community groups, various listening sessions and mapping sessions. I mean, it was a lot of different community meetings along the way, produced the plan, answered all the questions for the Met Council, and then we approved a preliminary comprehensive plan. And then once you have preliminary approval, then you have to send that up to neighboring jurisdictions. So that's every city and county and anything that you kind of touch around you to make sure that it meshes in with the overall plan of the area. And then from there they have 6 months for them to review that and make comments and get back to us. So we did ours a month or so ago, so we're kind of just waiting for any comments. So we're sitting good right now. And,
and you started that process in 2017, right?
16.
16,
Yeah, end of 16 we started it.
Yeah, because you've had a committee working on it, and you've had staff working on it, and you've had many opportunities for people from the community to tell you what they think the future should be.
Yeah, and then there was a website, My Sidewalk, that was set up for gaining additional community information if people wanted to add comments or suggestions and things and review different portions of it along the way. There's been a lot of community involvement along the way.
And that's an important part of the process too.
Oh yeah.
And all in the efforts of having a well-run city, right? Because you do need to look for the future.
Oh yeah.
And the Metropolitan Council makes sure that you do it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, how can residents learn about what's in the current plan and or the one that you've put together?
Yep, the preliminary approved one is on the website.
Okay.
And there's, so they could feel free to read it there.
Uh-huh.
Or there's also a hard copy at City Hall. I mean, they can come in and sit down and read the
Right.
book if you so choose. But
And
yeah.
people might be interested in some areas, because if people are interested in how is the land going to be used, or about the parks, or about the water, or so that it covers a lot of aspects of what cities have to do.
Yep.
And you might only have an interest in one area.
Yeah.
So the website is a good one to go
Yep.
to.
They can go to those particular areas pretty easily and just read it.
And then how does that comprehensive plan interact with the redevelopment that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I mean, everything we've done was, kind of on our last comprehensive plan. I mean, the kind of what was laid out, with building density on the core up and down Central Avenue, and then having single-family homes, and then obviously, the mixed-use businesses along 81.
Right.
So kind of everything we've done has kind of been on the framework of the comprehensive plan at that point. And then now we've been able to make those changes and update it and, kind of look again to the future and, again, use that kind of as a roadmap.
Oh, right,
To
right.
where we're going.
And if things change from when you do the plan, there's a whole process for revising it, right?
Yep.
So it's not, once you've done it, you've got to stick to it. It's something to help you plan
Yep.
and
yeah.
move towards the future.
Yeah, it's kind of a guide map for you to use.
Right.
And, to have what kind of, but obviously, yeah, I mean, the market again dictates a lot of what happens.
Right.
What gets built, the way it gets built, and as
And that changes over time.
Yeah, so I mean that's why it needs to be updated and making sure, and the way roads have been built and developed in different areas, and it's a way to, it's a good way to kind of keep tabs on development and what and orderly development that needs to happen. To a lot of times, and you go around the country, and that's right or wrong here. I mean we have that where other areas don't, and then the way development gets done, you're like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, they were talking about that with Houston and the flooding and all that. That
Yeah.
they just kind of grew up all over the place with.
Yeah, so there's no really plan. So I mean, love it or hate it. I mean, at least it does help design I think a better.
Now switch gears to talking about city budgets, because 2019 budget is up and coming, right? Or you've already started working on it. Maybe what are some of the priorities that the city was considering as you're planning your budget for 2019?
Yeah, we just got our audit presented to our council last night at the meeting, and I mean it was just another glowing review. I mean we've worked really hard on the budget and our financial reporting these last few years to really get it a lot easier to read, a lot easier to understand.
That's important for
and
residents.
have things actually line up rather than all this weird coding that they seem to end up doing. And then also, I mean, along with that, I mean, we had our issuance, and I mean, I'm proud to say we've raised our bond rating for the city to a AA.
Oh, that's
we started
good.
When I started, we were at A-.
Ah.
We went to an A, an A+, a AA- to a AA. So we've moved it up, and what that means is, cheaper interest rates for our
That's
bonds,
important.
which ends up being, cheaper for our residents, and so and it allows us, better access to capital when we do put a bond out there. So I mean, that's just a win-win. So I mean, that kind of goes to that sound financial planning that we've done over the years, and really kind of laying out a plan and what makes sense for the city. But with regards to 19, and what's important is, we're just in the process now of reviewing kind of everything after the audit to see where we were things kind of lined up. Again, looking at our financial management plan, our capital improvement plan, to see which different areas are going to need some things, because that the old adage of, well, we've got to put in a budget or we lose it next year. It's like, no, we budget right. If you need it, we'll figure it out. If you don't just put money in there because you don't think you're going to get it next year. So we've been, we kind of are beginning that process now of looking at 18 where things ended up, reviewing our financial management plan, understanding what our capital needs in each of the departments are, and then kind of laying that all out and kind of, begin the process for 18.
And so people should be aware that a lot of hard work goes into determining that. No, it does.
Oh, yes.
And that people can easily complain about things, but it's good for them to know a little bit what's happening behind the scenes and what efforts the city's taking to make sure their budget is good for their city.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Osseo has a community center that I think they did some work on it, right?
Yeah.
Where's it's located where for people that aren't familiar with Osseo? Osseo people know where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the community center is right, we have the city hall, the library, the police station, the fire station, community centers all in one building.
Okay.
Right on Central Avenue there, kind of right under the water tower. Right across from Boom Park. So yeah, we've, it was really kind of an underutilized asset, to the city. And we really took a look at it as, it's just this beautiful room with, big windows overlooking the park and
right.
I mean, kind of everything you want. And we're like, why isn't this getting used more? So we really worked with the staff and tried to figure out, what can we do, to make it more attractive and get more use out of it. So I mean, we've kind of came up with a plan of, just the rental structure and what groups and things and, getting exposed to, different groups to get it out and, utilized a little bit more.
And that helps your residents too, because for some events like weddings and things, people have a hard time finding a place to do things.
Yeah, weddings, bridal showers, baby showers, we've had all those different types of activities there.
And then all kinds of groups can rent the space there.
Yep, yeah, I mean, scouting groups to, associations to schools to, for-profit businesses, networking groups.
Right.
Those are all different seminars, things. I mean, we've political candidates, we've had all that stuff in that space.
And then residents are involved now at this point in a kind of a fundraiser for that with some paver blocks.
Yeah, we've got.
Maybe you can. We'll tell people about it, and Osseo people pay attention.
Yeah, no, there's outside of that. It's been an ongoing program. We've got a patio outside of it with paver stones in it, and you can purchase a paver stone with, a beloved message or, obviously a approved message on the block, and then those will be placed in that patio area, so your loved one or what can be kind of name engraved in that patio forever.
So people in Osseo, if they've got something they'd like a remembrance, that's a good project.
Yep.
When do they anticipate they'll be putting the paver blocks and things?
Kind of as we get them.
Okay.
They get a group,
they get it,
and then we send in the order, and then they send them back to us, and so I mean, as soon as we kind of, I don't know the exact number that we collect, but I mean, it's usually 5 or 10, and then we send them in and get the pavers back. So.
And then it's a way to recognize people and what's happening in your city.
Yep.
Now there's music in the park and music and movies in the park, and maybe you can tell them a little bit for people that might not be familiar with your park in the middle of town. Beer Boom.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister.
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
Where it is, because you really have a lovely facility there.
Yeah, right now, it's again right on Central Avenue across from City Hall, kind of right underneath the water tower. Right now, it's kind of a half city block. We're in actually the process. We've acquired 3 of the homes in the backside, acquiring 1 more, and the goal is, we're going to turn that into one city block park right in the middle of town. Kind of that Norman Rockwell piece that we're, kind of we're missing. But yeah, so we've got the park every Tuesday.
Okay.
We have some sort of activity in there. Whether it's a band, we got Teddy Bear Band and Big Band, and we've got like snakes and some other zoology animal people and various other music groups. So that's every Tuesday through June, July into August, kind of mid-August, and then the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays we do a movie also in the park. So it's just a good way to bring the community together. I mean, everyone bikes up there with their blankets and their bug spray and sits and watches the movie. And usually we have that same night that we have the farmers market. So some people just get something from the farmer's market
right.
and come over and
Right.
hang out and watch the bands or the movies that night. Or obviously there's a number of restaurants, and usually we bring in some sort of nonprofit group, whether it be a
Sure.
church or school or Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever athletic associations, and sometimes they'll set up and serve different things there, whether it be ice
right,
cream or just
right.
snacks and things like that. So people have that access, and that helps them raise money. But again, it just brings the community together, and you even get people from outside the community that just think it's great to come and throw a lawn chair down or a blanket and hang out and watch a movie.
And it's been a very popular summer event. And people are always looking for things that, particularly family and kids, and what can we take them to.
Yeah.
So it's been a good addition for Osseo.
Yeah.
How long have they been doing that?
It's been over 10 years we've been doing it. It originally started, with some of the businesses downtown. The Osseo Business Association started putting it together way back in the day, and then kind of the city has just taken it over, just with kind of some things that have changed over in the number of years, and just because we see the value in having that.
Now, city elections, Osceo's got some people involved in the elections this year.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us about what council positions are up.
Yeah, we have 2 council positions that come available this year. So it's Larry Stelmack and Councilmember Ann Zelenak. Their terms are up at the end of the year. So those 2 seats, and then of course the mayor seat. So I'm up for re-election this year. So we'll see if the city has me back for another term.
Yeah, because you do 3 people 1 year, and then 2 years later the other 2, right? Stagger the terms.
Yep, it's every 2 years you have 2 council and the mayor.
Right.
The mayor is always a 2-year term. The council is 4.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so every 2 years you have the majority of the council turns over if people so choose.
So this is a time when people should be thinking about it. And when is the my mind's blanking.
End of July.
End of July to sign up if you want to.
Yeah, end of July through the beginning of August. So I think it's July 21st through August 14th, I believe, is the dates.
And then do you have a primary in your city?
We do not.
Okay,
not in
because
Osseo.
some do and some don't, right?
Yep, no, we just have the general election the first Tuesday in November.
And so at this point, if people have any questions, this is a time to start gathering some information.
Yep.
And then later on, when people have filed, then you'll know whether the current people are running or not, right?
Yep. Yep.
So we always encourage people to get involved, and sort of the ultimate involvement is being willing and wanting to run on your city council, right?
Oh, yes.
Keeps you busy. And then you have a kind of fun program that's been going for a while in Osseo. You have a summer trolley, a little, what do I call it?
Golf cart.
Golf cart, but it's bigger. It's more. Okay,
It's
a good-sized golf cart.
Yeah, a couple of seater golf cart. Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of it and then how it's carried out?
Yeah, no, the Osseo trolley is one of those unique features of Osseo that we just love, and because it goes back to golf carts are allowed on city streets of Osseo.
Okay.
So that's kind of so
The
there's
starting point.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of people that have golf carts that drive around the city. So I mean, that kind of another unique aspect of the town because it is so small. But we have the Osseo trolley, and the Osseo trolley was donated to the city.
Okay.
It was it's a large golf cart that has kind of 3 seating areas in it, and it's free to residents. It runs Monday through Thursday, 9 to 2:30.
Okay.
And it's staffed by volunteers, and then we collect donations from businesses. And we've had Evans Norby Funeral Home has donated the last few years, have sponsored the Osseo trolley for the entire summer.
Oh, that's
so they've
cool.
paid for all the maintenance and everything. So they really appreciate them making that donation. And so people then we've had a city cell phone that we have the number published, and then just pick up the phone, and if they need to run into town to pick up some groceries, get your hair cut, go to lunch, do whatever you want to do, and they just pick you up drop you off, and then when you want to leave or come back, you call them and they'll come pick you up. You know.
Yeah,
So.
no, not many places have that.
No. You know. So it was the Uber before Uber was around.
Right. Well, and so where would they find this phone number?
On the website, yeah, and then
do you happen to know what it is?
I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Yeah, see if we can find that, and then also usually, you know, we have posters around town, like at Dean's, and you know, some of the places where you kind of see them.
So it's a good thing for all ages, but especially for some senior citizens, I bet.
Yeah.
Now we've got a little bit of time. I'm always asking people to tell about volunteer opportunities, because we're always encouraging the people out there to get involved in your city, and maybe talking a little bit to what are the benefits of getting involved more with what's happening in your city.
Yeah, the one position we just had our member of the EDA, you know, because of, you know, changes, they're no longer able to serve on the EDA. So we still have, you know, a couple years left on their term there. So I mean, that's one seat that we have available now. You know, there's some various committee positions that are, not kind of full time, like a planning or zoning or EDA, or there's kind of more ad hoc type. And they come and go. So I mean, there's some of that, committee work. But I really think the key in getting involved in the city is it just kind of helps you understand kind of the process and understand really what's involved.
Oh, right.
I mean, as a resident, like we always talk to them and said, you get your tax bill and you look at it, and you whether you agree or disagree with what's happening. Really, if you look at it from, because your bill is the city, it's the school district and the county.
Right.
It's just not all. Yeah, it's not all the city. So you have to kind of look at the city, and as long as you're getting reasonably priced services,
right,
and there's value, and you're managing all things involved within the city, and there's modest or no on your tax rate, then I mean that's all you can ask from a city.
Right.
And by being involved, you really understand all the facets that go into, ultimately people judge the city on, when it comes down to your taxes. A lot of it is what am I paying and what am I getting? So by understanding everything that's involved that goes into what that number is, like we've had conversations where in Osseo, we've actually lowered the tax rate the last 5 years.
That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, and that's again because the underlying value of all the real estate has gone up.
Right.
So we don't have to tax as much to get the money.
Right.
And everyone thinks it's a shell game of if you need more money, you just raise the valuation, and it's like, well, I guess you want your house to be worth more than less.
Right.
But if your house stayed the same over the last 5 years, you'd be paying less in tax. So, but I mean, it's just, I think by being involved, I mean, you truly understand everything that takes to run and operate and just move the city along through the processes. Because, there's checks and balances and notice periods and things that have to happen that, that was, one thing kind of learning going forward, in the beginning was try to get all of this stuff done, but you're like, no, you have to have this public hearing and then this notice period and this, and 'cause it's designed to make sure that, you don't kind of go wild.
Right.
So, I mean, it's understanding all the facets that I think is the most kind of important thing to why, somebody should get involved.
And then what commissions are there available for people in Osseo? You mentioned the EDA, that's not a commission, but it is a
I mean, heritage preservation, and there's some of these committees that, are always looking for people. We just filled up public safety with our last opening there. There's other, smaller committees that, groups that are always looking for something.
And people could look on your website and kind of see what these different committees work with. So if they have an interest in the recreation, or they have an interest in the development that's happening, or if they have an interest in the heritage
Yeah.
part of your city.
And all the meetings are open, so I
Yeah.
mean, you can always come sit
Yeah.
at every one of
Yeah,
them.
Right. And so everybody doesn't always have the time, but at
Yeah.
times we want to encourage people that if you're not doing it right now, think about it for the future,
Yeah.
because I think you get more back from what you put in than you give out. At least
Oh, yeah.
that's been my experience.
And then, yeah, I mean, one nice thing is, all the meetings are online, so you can watch
Right.
them kind of at your leisure and stop and start or skip to
Right.
specific things that, interest you.
And that's a way to follow what's happening in the city too. If they use the online aspects of it, or
Yep.
use the minutes.
Yep.
And so all you have to do is get an application in, and then when there's an opening, then the city is going to reach out and
Yep.
interview people in that
Yep.
process.
We're always accepting applications, and the more people involved, I think it builds the vibrancy of the city.
Right.
And getting different, and it's not only just, I mean, it's different segments of the community, it's different ages of the community.
right.
I mean, in the wider and broader you are, it just builds a greater sense of community, and I think ultimately builds a better city.
Oh, I think so. I think you're right that that's an important thing for people to get involved in. And there's also a lot of short-term things that happen that the city maybe isn't pushing, but other groups are. Can you think of some of the ones that would be true of in Osseo?
Yeah, I mean, there's not any one particular one
I
group
would like.
that.
Do you have a Lions Club, and they have
Oh, yeah.
activities, and
Yeah, I
you have
mean,
the things in the
yeah,
park,
we've
and they
got-
might need volunteers?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got the Lions Club, is active in the community. We just had the community car show, the
Right.
foreign auto car show, and they needed volunteers for that. We'll have obviously Lions Roar coming up.
Right.
That'll be later in the summer. So I mean, and then we're also this year doing citywide Night to Unite.
Ah,
So I mean, there will be volunteer opportunities
right,
there
right.
to help out with kind of marshaling and directing, and doing some of the games and things. But we're going to have that right around City Hall with bands in the park, and
that's kind of
and then
fun.
food, and all the fire trucks and cop cars and everything out, and again, bringing everybody together from all the different communities, and then
Right.
allowing them to have go back, and if they want to have their own block parties later,
Right.
because I mean, we have that unique ability to you go to all the block parties,
Right.
but most people kind of go to their block party, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where they stay.
Right.
And they hang out with their neighbors. But we want to get, again, building a sense of community,
Right,
so everybody
right.
knows everybody, and then you can go back and have your block parties.
Right. Well, I want to thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
sharing your expertise and your time and letting people know what's happening in Osseo. We're glad that you've been with us and hope you'll join us again. Bye.